Footies, and welcome along to your Tuesday Club edition of FUT in Review, powered by FUT Coaching. This is a very special episode in some ways. Some people may believe this, some people don't. Episode 666, the number of the beast or the number of the devil. So we'll touch on that very shortly. But as always, before we get into the content in today's discussions, I'd like to welcome along my good friend and fantastic co-host, Shaq Attack. Shaq, how are we, my man?
I'm doing well, thank you very much. Looking forward to kicking the ball around with you, but also just want to warn everyone that if things go pear-shaped, it's only because I have a Cyclone category 2 coming my way anytime now. So the show must go on.
Yeah, absolutely. I know you've been very busy preparing for that, so fingers crossed from all of us that it doesn't quite hit quite as hard as it could do, and everyone's safe and well, and your house remains untree damaged. So fingers crossed there, my friend. How has your previous week been? Obviously it was last Tuesday we recorded. How's the end of that sort of weekly cycle and then the start of this one started for you?
It's felt like a very interesting week in the sense that I didn't do champs this week, but I did a lot of friendly games, a lot of friendly league games, which I don't even know. I can't even remember how many wins I've gotten so far, and I just feel like that's such a blur. But the cup games, actually, it's weird. Apart from the change of the kits in the swaps mode, I quite enjoyed the cups because I think I was just getting to. It's one of those things where getting to the maximum reward wasn't hard and it was fun along the way. So I did really enjoy the cups mode. I must say, I did really enjoy the no rules mode. You could just slide, and I was thinking of you the whole time while I was playing the game because this must be like heaven for you. This is meant for people like you. I really enjoyed that. I think the cups mode was really. I enjoyed the cups mode. The one thing is, I just felt like there's so much gameplay content in one promo that just kind of was a bit exhausting. But yeah, it was fun no less.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we'll start with that cup mode. The kit one, I think I managed to do quite easily, but I think I put into the our group chat very quickly. This is brutal. Not the gameplay, but like you say, the bib. Like it always took me a wee minute to figure out which bib was mine and who I'm going to, and then trying to force it to them so you could get the double goals. People would kind of rage quit was a nightmare. But I love the no rules. I've just done it this morning. It took me about an hour and a half to complete it, but I loved it because obviously the teams are a bit of a mismatch because you kind of have to shovel in certain requirements. So I had that Marcus Thuram up front. I think he was the player of the month months ago. Just kept sending him on runs forward and just kept kicking the hell out of everybody. And my favorite one is the professional foul where you just tug people back.
Yeah,
people are running through it, and it's amazing because I was watching the wrestling at the weekend, watching the Elimination Chamber, and the amount of times I sort of clothesline people in this game, I was loving it. And then you just send a really sweaty, over-the-top ball to Thuram, who's basically standing on the keeper and score. I was in my element. I kind of wanted to keep playing that even after the objectives were done. So it was fantastic. Rivals has gone pretty well. I'm quite comfortably in Division 1 now. I got there too early at the start of the sort of the reset after Thursday. Went on a really good run and got up there, and I thought, oh no, I've still got to get all these points and stay there. But it's actually been fairly comfortable. It's not been overly sweaty, so I'm not quite sure what's happening. I don't know whether it's because we're at the end of the season and people have kind of moved on or whatever, but that's been quite enjoyable too. So it's good. I totally get what you mean though. There's so much to do. I obviously don't play weekends, and I was in the office yesterday, so I didn't play yesterday. So come back today, and it's almost overwhelming with the amount to do, or you can do anyway. I'm away this weekend. This week. Unfortunately, it's my granddad's funeral tomorrow in England, so I'm leaving tonight to go down from Scotland to England. So I'll be away until Friday. So I've got basically today to jam in everything else that we need to do. So it's a little bit of like, how much do we go? So even with the league, my con's out of my reach because I had a terrible start. So I think I'm just going to play and just try and get some packs because I think that's as best as I can hope for just now. So I think that's kind of it. But to be fair, there's not been lots to talk about. We've obviously got all these objectives and we've had a few SBCs. So before we kind of go into the main thing, we've had a couple of icons released since the guys recorded. We've had the Liga F Player of the Month and we've had a brand. But just to start, because this was one I thought our good friend Wemby would be all over. But then I remembered we had like the Academy Evo. But Cashley Cole, love him or hate him, in the game, he's always very good, I think. Like, he's quite underappreciated in the game. What did you think about his fantasy cards, Shaq? Because on the basis of it, I think it looks really good. 600k, not wildly priced, but what's your thoughts on it?
It's one of those things where I think if he was slightly cheaper, he would probably have a lot more interest because at the end of the day, you can spend 300-400k. I'm just talking logic here, being pragmatic. You can spend 300-400k or whatever it is and get a Theo in, and he's going to be better than any other left back in the game, which kind of sucks in a way. So if you have an Ashley Cole that's say slightly the same, maybe around the same price of Theo or slightly cheaper, that'll give you more of an incentive to try him out. And Ashley Cole cards are much better than what the stats usually say. I remember I was using the Team of the Year Ashley Cole last year. Loved that card, and I think Wimpy was a massive fan of the Centurions. I think the Centurions are the Thunderstruck Ashley Cole, who was really in mainstay in his team. So I think slightly cheaper would have gone a long way. It would have been in a lot more teams. But again, I don't get the disparity because we have other cards that have come out that are reasonably priced. So, for example, the Robin Van Persie that I think we can segue onto. Robin Van Persie's come out brilliant play styles. He's got finesse plus. He's got first touch plus. Really decent looking card in game. I mean, not fully meta, but he's probably the best version of Robin Van Persie we've had this cycle, and he seems a really good card. And he's only 180k, 170k.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a good card.
the pricing for these are a bit strange, but to be fair, if you take Theo out of it, I think Ashley's actually a fairly decent option. I think if you do him, you've got that sort of affiliation either to him it's tight. Well, I don't think many Arsenal fans will be doing him after how he left, but to Chelsea or to, in English or even just like as a Premier League great, he's probably up there with the best Premier League left backs that we've probably ever had. From a bias side, we got Patrice Evra, who's not in the game, who I'm hoping will get an hero card at least soon. You're struggling to name many better than those two, really. Liverpool fans will say Andy Robertson, but they're completely
No.
they're completely wrong there because the boy can't defend. He's just got the passion trait. So I think that's all right. To be fair, even 600k, I would be more into him to do him than Theo, just because Theo's like overly meta. It's a bit like Kevin Mendy, who I admittedly ran for a while, but I would stay away almost just because I don't want to be like you don't want to follow the crowd in a way. So I
Yeah.
think it's nice. You're right. Even if they had it as 500k, just that half mil mark would be nice. 600s, but I don't think 600s wild or massively overpriced. Um, from that to a very cheap SBC who for an icon, I'm sure John will have an affiliation to him, but Dennis Bergkamp, who he's somebody that I never really feel his skill and his aura transfers into FIFA or FC. He's coming at about 175k, so not badly priced by any means. But what do you think about Bergkamp?
I must apologize because the previous time when I was conversing about Robin van Persie, I
Oh,
meant
you
Dennis
meant
Bergkamp.
Dennis Bergkamp.
Dennis
There we go.
Bergkamp.
So
So
everything's
yeah,
said there.
yeah. So when you said Dennis Bergkamp, I was like, oh, of course it was Dennis Bergkamp, not Robin van Persie. You can see how you can get those two confused. I think, yeah, I was just been thinking about Robin van Persie a lot for the past couple of days because of the state of the club that we follow. But anyway, it is what it is.
Bring him back even currently. Currently, he'd probably still do a better job than what we've got going on just now.
He'll do anyway. That's besides the point. But yeah, I was talking about Dennis Bergkamp, and I think I'm really keen to try out the Dennis Bergkamp card because I don't think we've ever been able to have a Dennis Bergkamp that can recreate the magic that he did on the pitch. So looking forward to it, especially with the price. It looks like a steal.
Is it one that you're going to end up doing then?
Mm-hmm. It will be.
Fantastic. Like we said, we had the Liga F Player of the Month yesterday, which was Monday, and coincidentally, she's called Monday. So an 88 rated striker would look all right, apart from the 3-star, 4 stars, a bit of a letdown, I think. Absolutely rapid. I think she'd still do a job. Obviously, coming in at 45k, so you're not expecting her to pull up trees, but it could be a very good cheap option. And then Brand as well, the left winger, German. Just under 70k. Shaq, have you had time to look at this? Because actually, it doesn't look a bad option.
No, decent option, and I think we're not spoiled. We're kind of spoiled for choice right now. We have a lot of cheap SBCs that you can definitely just jump in and hope for an Evo at some point in time, and even use them here and there in some of the competitions that we have. But none of the SBCs that we're getting are really like must do SBCs. It's just up and down with what fits your team. And also, I think just having the constant glut of casino SBCs has confused the situation a little bit. Like, would you rather do a player that you may or may not use, or just throw the same amount of fodder or a little bit more in an icon SBC or hero SBC and YOLO it? It's just that's what's happening right now. I just keep thinking of doing an SBC. Like, I started off thinking of doing Dennis Bergkamp, did two icons instead.
I mean, to be fair, you've got to be. We always say it, you've got to be in it to win it. So I've done a couple of icon ones, and I do all the campaign packs that come out. And there's only
Mm.
really two players that I want from those the campaign ones, which I know are the ones that aren't going to pop out. But again, got to be in it to win it. Before we kind of get on to the content and that, but like we said, this is episode number 666. So that got John primarily thinking. He opened it up to a Discord, who've put in a few, but your beasts and devils. So we've got a few for previous editions. So Mario says the FIFA 23 Vanya. I think that's Milinkovic Savic, the goalkeeper that turned into a
Good shout.
CM monster, who is tremendous. Ingvi, our good friend and Friday session regular, Wilt9, W9. Again, I thought that was amazing with that crossing meta. But sticking a little bit with FC25 for the current game, Home has put in, and this is a big shout. Endrick, the Team of the Year Evo. He goes, "This guy's my beast. Spiritual successor to PES 6's Adriano. So strong and lethal shot power." Shaq, how do you feel when you see this Hendrick? Because he does give me a little bit of goosebumps when I come up against him. I'm not going to lie.
There are a couple of those cards. We discussed them last week. Those Team of the Year Evo cards. Some of them are just so good. Like the Endrick one, just kind of every time I see an Endrick, I think in this league and cup, I've been coming across a 90 rated Endrick. I don't know what combination they've done, but a 90 rated Endrick, and he's so hard to defend. He's got a bit of everything. So these Endrick cards, the Rodrigo cards, and the Rafinha cards, the
Rafinha.
Evo. Oh, those three are just annoying to deal with. Osman Dembele, no problem at all dealing with that one. I did that one, but the other ones, oh, they're just so good. So Endrick's a good one, a really good one.
Yeah, absolutely. So going on that, have you got? Well, we'll start with a beast. Have you got an FC25 beast for us?
I think one of the beasts that I currently am cooking up is a Neymar. It's weird. It's a gold Neymar Evo. I know I've spoken about Neymar before, but I'm just trying to create my own version of a Neymar, and I have managed to create like a pretty cool one, just using the gold one, and I've got Tiki Taka Plus on him, and he is just cooking it. And I also put the Shadow Striker thing on him as well. So
Oh,
he's got the
nice.
Shadow Striker Plus Plus, and he's got the Tiki Taka Plus. Sorry, he's got the Tiki Taka Plus Plus, and he's just incredible in game. I'm just really enjoying using a and I think people just see him as a regular Evo Neymar and they just underestimate what he can do. And he's just incredible in game. So good in game. So I'm really trying to. This is going to be my marquee card that I'm going to slowly and surely. And he's only 89 rated. So I'm going to just gently evolve him in such a way that he doesn't get a massive rating boost, but his stats get upgraded. So that's what I'm hoping. I'm going to be very picky on what I put on him.
That's really cool. You've probably got the slight advantage that Neymar now isn't like he was 3 or 4 years ago in terms of the game. So people probably would underestimate anyway. So you've kind
True.
of got that element of surprise almost. I'm going to be a lot more boring. Mine's not an Evo. Mine is pure Pat Luck, and it's Thierry Henry, who is like my favorite card I've used all game. He gets you out of situations. He's slightly bigger, so he can play as that. I play 4-2-3-1 wide, and he can play that lone striker role really well. Just does everything. His passing's very good, so he can knock it around. His finishing's like next level. Pace is obviously tremendous, and his play styles are excellent. So that is by far my favorite beast. We've got a few others that I'm quite enjoying just now, but he is like we've had obviously Team of the Year Salah up front, who just isn't like he's very good, but he's definitely better as a winger. Lauren James, Eric Cantona, these type of players. But Henri by far is the best player that I think I've used, even going through like when I play draft and stuff. I think this is probably one of the if you've got an unlimited budget, he's one that I'd be saying you need to sort of shoehorn in your team somehow if you can. Um, on the other side, Devils. I'd like to kick this one off because there's one card that just frustrates the life out of me. Every time I come up against this card, Like, to say every time, anytime a player knows how to use this card, it ends me. Like, I can't get near her, I can't stop her. Like, unless we play like no rules game, where you can literally just 2 foot them and just like batter them off the park. But Mia Hamm, I don't know where I was when they were giving out free Mia Hams, but a lot of players seem to have Mia Hamm. And she is unreal. I like the way that she moves, the power shot, obviously that little bit of pace. Like she just seems unreal, and I can't put my finger on it because when you look at her, like she does look very good, but she doesn't look like an R9 or a Mbappe or whatever. But R9 at the moment isn't cooking me like Mia Hamm does, so I'm not sure what it is, but she is by far my number 666 number of the devil because I can't stand her anymore. Like I really just get angry.
Yeah, I completely agree that that Mia Hamm, especially the winter wildcard one. I think the regular Mia Hamm, when I was coming across against her in the start of the game, she weirdly enough, I didn't feel like, oh, this is not as special as I thought because she was 7 million coins. But then the winter wildcard one, I don't know what sauce they put on her. She is just incredibly good, so good in game. It's so hard to stop her. And she's so nippy. She can score with both feet, and she hits them really hard. And she's fast, and she's like a better version of Sophia Wilson, which is weird because Sophia Wilson is so good at herself. So, yeah, Miham's incredible in game.
It's also very weird that you actually remember to call her Sophia Wilson because in my head she's still Sophia Smith. So fair play to you because I would have tripped over my own feet there. But Shaq, have you got a devil then? Who is your kryptonite when you come to face a certain card?
Oh, I've just mentioned the two kryptonites that are Rodrigo and Rafinha. This team of the Evos. They just cook every single time I've come up against them. I don't think I've barely won against anyone using those two cards. Literally, I'm just trying. They give me nightmares. As soon as I see them in the starting lineup, it just feels like, oh, this is going to be a hard slog because they are so good in game, especially if they have a dynamic as well. Oh, cooking me.
It's all about the dynamic. It used to be the hair trait. Now it's just the dynamic.
That's right.
But moving on, Shaq, and some listeners will probably get tilted by this, but this is a bit of a subject that's been grating on me for a little while. So I want to take a wee moment just to discuss it. Obviously, we all want very good pack weight, and we have been complaining fairly frequently that the pack weight isn't great. We go back a few weeks to Team of the Year, and okay, I got good pack weight, and I know that the likes of Engville probably want to switch off now, but it's it is what it is. I got obviously Salah, James, Wrighton, Henri, Cantona, Carvajal, like good players. I now am on the other end of the fence where I actually think having good pack weight at the strongest promo is almost ruins my enjoyment for the following weeks and maybe even months. I look at the players coming out now. I'm not that interested. Obviously, there's some cards that you'd like to have, but none of them come close to some of the players that you get through Team of the Year. Same with Evos, and I know Evos a separate subject we're going to discuss. But that kind of led me to think, not just Team of the Year, people who have whatever methods and ways of getting almost unlimited coins. Like, is it wrong? Well, not is it wrong. Is it against the game's kind of nature and the feel of it? If you have too good a squad too early, or if you have obviously Team of the Year is the best promo probably until Team of the Season. If you are unbelievably lucky, like does that then affect the game going forward? Like, what's your views on that?
I do agree with you. I definitely agree with you because, yeah, I completely understand where you're coming from because one of the biggest things that we play this game for is the fact that we're constantly evolving, making our own squads, doing this, tinkering with our squads, trying to build. What's the incentive for someone like you to try and do an Evo for a Kobe Minu SBC or some sort of Evo or even an SBC like that could potentially be interesting? You're just going to do it, not use it because your Steam's better than where it needs to be. Anywhere, wherever the cards, whatever card you're trying to do will never be as good as what you have in your team. So it just disintensifies. Doesn't really look lucrative for you to do it. But then you have content coming through every single day. You just look at it, you think, yeah, whatever. And after a certain point, and the biggest problem is after a certain point, even the team that you're playing day in day out starts to get stale and boring, even though it's really good. But it's the same team that you've been using for a month and a half, 2 months almost now. And you start to think, I just want to go somewhere from here, but there is no next level. And this is the particular reason why I've got ton of coins sitting in my in my account, and I started going down the route of just trying really really expensive cards. And then at one point, I just felt like if I just keep trying these good cards, nothing's going to feel good enough. So there's certain times like the Henri card, I can just go buy the Henri card, but I'm stopping myself from buying the Henri card because I want to experience different things. I tried Neymar and that the paid version of Neymar, loved it, but just felt weird. And then I went back and I've done this Evo Neymar, who's like barely 27k or 30k, whatever it is. And he gives me so much joy because it's just like Neymar that I've scratched up myself, and I can keep on evoing him gently and making him better. And that's where I feel like Evos are they're meant to be used that way. So yeah, having the top tier team that you have, it's probably I'll try and bring the smallest violin I have known to man to play a tune for you while I say this. I know it can have an impact on your enjoyment of the game, which is a weird thing to say, but that's literally why the pack weight's usually very low in every single promo.
Yeah, absolutely. And for those listening, like this isn't designed to be a flex of good pack weight or good team because I have a joke, but I try and be stay humble. I'm not overly fussed about sort of saying what players, but it is something. It's part of the FOMO that you log on, you do your objectives to try and get packs to get cards, but realistically, there's not a lot in there. If you've already got certain positions, like I'm still needing a centre back. I'm probably still needing a deep lying playmaker, but at the same time, like you're hoping for two positions out of you've got 11 on your pitch. Like it has absolutely stopped me thinking I need to grind, 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 which is probably good because I'll be taking a break in about 4 weeks for a few months. So, like, don't get me wrong, like, it's been very fortuitous that we've in a position to be annoyed by this, and I know certain people will be listening to this going like, no, having the best cards is going to make the best game, but it does make the game stale, and because these cards are so good though, when you go to try to like swap them out for other players, it takes a long time to get used to them because these team of the year cards move differently. So then you've kind of almost got to readapt your build-up play, your play style almost. So like I'm not wanting sympathy, but it absolutely brought to my attention the fact that actually having a solid team is probably more enjoyable, especially like if you're like myself that doesn't really care. Like I only do champs to dip in and out of rivals. You can grind anyway, but so I'm not sitting there going like I need to have the best team and I need to get I need to go 15-0 in champs and I need to do this, do that. Like it's more just about enjoyment, but it's definitely hampered. And then it's kind of like the likes of Dan that's gone and set up a second account. I'm thinking if I had a little bit more time, that would absolutely be what I'd be doing now because this game just kind of feels a bit dull almost because like we're going to say the Evos, I've got certain issues with Evos which we're going to raise. The cards coming out, there's so many cheap beasts that would be really cool to try, but do they replace cards that have potentially come out in previous promos? Unlikely. So it did get me thinking, and then it's always good to bounce off. And if people listening want to feed back into this, either through the Spotify comments or even through our wonderful Discord that we've got, which is free for everyone, check us out on Foot and Review on the Discord. Like, I'd be interested to hear other people's sort of sides of this because it's prevalent. I think when I first started, I was lucky, and I think that was when Mbappe, Neymar, I can't remember who was on the wing, but I think it was about FIFA 20 when these ones were like the golden childs, if you like. You had to have these, had that, and they didn't come out my team for months. And you're sitting there going, even then, I was a bit like, oh, that's a bit dull. I'd rather go for something else. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to hear people's views, but that's certainly an issue that I'm experiencing. And like I say, maybe it's good timing, but it does make you think. Did EA? I know the Team of the Year pack weight for a lot of people was pretty good. Was that intentional? Did they drop the bomb? And how are they still grasping people to play and to entice them in for more?
I think one of the things that EA has significantly changed the landscape of this game was, I don't know if you remember, this is just, do you remember Summer Heat? Summer Heat promo where we had Ferland Mendy and the Usman Dembele and the
Yeah,
Ribery. That was the first time where they actually had a summer promo that really was one notch above Team of the Season. And that really made people just sit up and think, oh, hang on, because prior to that, what used to happen every year, people would try and aspire to get the Team of the Year cards, try their best, and at the end of the game cycle, you'll have the best of the best team. That's what you're going for. You'll have the Hullet Vieira, you'll have like Neymar, the Team of the Season, the Team of the Year, Neymar, the best versions of each card, like Mbappe, Neymar, Marcelo, Kante.
Oh,
You'd have
Marcelo.
Cristiano. You'd have all. This is what you aim for. You aim for this, and you just make the best squad at the end of the year, and that's you tie your cycle with a bow, and that's the team that you use till the end of the cycle, and start again. And then when summer heat came through, suddenly, all of a sudden, you had these brand new cards that were just making all the team of the year, team of the season cards redundant. So then it just as soon as you get to a certain level, there's another level to go to. So towards this the time of silly season, it kind of makes sense to go like hell leather with whatever. But if you get the cards that you got in January, which is like less than 6 months, less than half the game cycle, where you've already achieved where you probably should be in maybe April or May, you're bound to feel a little bit confused about what the next steps would be.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be interesting to see what you do with the game cycle because I'm sure I'm not the only one, in that position. And like I say, by all means, no flex. It's more that sort of discussion about kind of how EA are then going to engage people more. Because I'm sure if people kind of feel like I do, some people may, sit back a little bit or miss out a few promos and go, actually, that's not really worth the grind. So that in my head's quite fascinating. People's mindsets for that. But moving on from that, Shaq, I know you're quite keen to discuss. We could actually make this a regular Tuesday feature at the moment, but Evos, take it away.
So I think a couple of years ago, one of the just before we had Evos, we had. Do you remember the time where we had those cards that were given to us? Where I think there was a Renato Sanchez, there was a Varane, if I'm not mistaken, that you could actually upgrade, buy the tradable version. You use the tradable version for about 30 or 40 games. I can't remember how many of the games, and then you could sell that version, and then that was your unique version that you have that you can use for the rest of the game cycle. And that kind of felt like, oh, when they said evolutions are coming next year, I think people like me just assume that we will have like an academy where you just start off with a 70 rated or 80 rated card, and slowly you build these cards up and gently, and suddenly you might get an Evo that can fit your evolution. That's the card that you evolved, and you can slowly build on it. And right now in our clubs, we all have a whole heap of Evos that literally can't get upgraded. Yet, if we have the base version of those cards, we can probably get a better version than we have built up right now, which in my head defeats the whole point of evolutions in some way, in some shape or form, because it you don't really have a connection with the cards that you've actually worked towards. Like for example, you look at your Marcus Rashford, or the one that you've done in your club that you have. I think we did a Dallo together, we did a Kobe Minu together. We've just stopped evolving them because there's a 500,000 evolutions that come through that start from the scratch again. So you do a whole Evo chain, and then that copy menu becomes a way better copy menu than you can build through your Evo that you've spent a whole heap of time and effort in trying to make through into the best version of your card. And I'm trying to beat the system by choosing a particular card, like I said with Neymar, and I'm only going to choose Evos that don't increase his overall rating. But again, I'm not. That's not going to. I will be a little bit annoyed when I miss out on a particular Evo, but that's the only thing I have left to do. So I'm just not really sure what EA's take on this is. I think from their point of view, from a business point of view, it's probably a good thing because you just want people to restart again and do it again and spend the 30,000 coins or spend the 50,000 coins or give them a few extra FP here and there and just keep doing it over and over again. But it starts to lose its shine a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, do you think that the chaining evils, to begin with, we thought, oh, it's amazing you can get these super chains and that. Do you think that's actually almost tying their hands a little bit? I mean, you look at the ones now, you can make a 74 rated card really good, and all of a sudden you stick him in one evo and he goes from sort of 74, 75 up to 90 rated straight away. Like, do you think they've thought it through? Do you think this is, like you say, do you think this is a way of them getting extra FP or, sorry, is it FC points or coins?
Yeah,
Or do you think this is just, they weren't really designed to be chained and people have just worked out really quickly and thought, actually, this is the way to do it? Like, how did we get here?
you know what? Every time I sit down and think about EA and think when they release these evolutions and think, do they actually, has someone sat down and looked at all the combinations that could be done? Because it's almost like you need like a data model to actually do this complex calculations for you for every single player and consider every single evolution that's been done so far. It's a very, and I don't think anyone is sitting there. There's no Nathan down sitting there doing QA on this sort of stuff. I don't believe. So
No,
I'm
I think
really
that's
curious.
evident.
I'm really curious how they actually pump it out because there's certain times where you have a card that just goes through these chains, like you said, goes from a 70 whatever rated to a 90 rated, and then you sit there and think, surely they didn't want this to happen. And then my biggest worry is there will be a time where you'll have some cards that are so that'll probably go to like really high rated because someone somewhere down the line has some card sitting in their club that's got some Evo chain that's waiting to be discovered, and yeah, hell
I
will
think
freeze.
I think it was last year's one when they started to do these Evos. I'm sure people had 99 rated centre backs from, a couple of months in. There was that random chain all of a sudden gave you a 99 rated card. So people had them pretty early on, considering where the curve was at. I mean, I get you. I think it does take away that personal touch. And even if, like I've done about 40 different Rashfords and I've probably done almost the same amount of Kobe Mainus. And, Rashford's moved on. I still like Rashford. I think he could still be elite in terms of real football. His cards could be good. Even with the Evos, they're always missing something. But I still quite like having that connection to my terrible club right now. But it just seems like you don't have that personal touch. And even if you go back
Mm,
in and you hit the nail on the head. If you re-Evo the same player, it just doesn't do it for me. Like the very first, few weeks where we got our, we packed a gold Kobe Manu and we were both absolutely buzzing. We're like, got Kobe, face stats are all right for the start of the game. Evos are coming. We're going to make this guy a beast. 3 weeks
correct.
later, oh, I need to go and buy Kobe now for 2K or whatever we was at that time because that one's much better. And you're just a bit like, the time you kind of get round to it. And, I evoed, he had a special card out. I think it was 88 rated and I've evoed him up to 90. Don't use him. Like I used him for about 3 games and like I just don't have that connection at all. So I think you're completely right. And, the other thing that's really bugging me, we've had another Evo last night, which is for sort of right mid. We're getting so many of the similar positions. Where's the goalkeeper Evos? You said that off, before we came on. There's been no goalkeeper Evos. Apart from the team of the year centre backs, like you had ones that can put maybe a play style on, but you've not really had, a proper centre back Evo. Deep line playmaker per se, like, we had Zidane and Maradona really quickly. So we've had two fairly similar cams. Even an out and out striker, we've not had a proper out and out striker. We've had Evos for wide men to turn them into strikers or whatnot. But like in my head, Evos, you should almost be able to pick positions and then just put these stats on them. I don't know if that's feasible. I don't know if yourself, Shaq, or even anyone else would agree. But if they say there's an Evo, I would like them to say, right, so you can get X player to get 87 pace. You pick that player. X player to get 2 of 4 silver playstyles and 1 playstyle plus. Even if they dictate which playstyles, you can then pick a player in whatever position that's sentimental to you or one that you like, and obviously it'll bring out more meta players. But I just think there's so
Exactly.
many different ways that this game could be done that then feels because you got the likes of John Talking Foot who hosts sometimes on a Friday, and you've got Dan that support St Johnson, Reading, whoever. That would make those players so much more fun. As if you could literally just take an Evo and take the stats that this Evo's given you and give it to any player. And even for the likes of myself, I'm waiting on, I need two positions I want to improve. I could then look at my squad and go, I'm gonna, fix this onto that player that can play in the position that I want. And suddenly I've got a team that's really fun and I can connect that a little bit more with.
Exactly, exactly. That's exactly what we're looking for. I think one of the key things that EA needs to do, hopefully, is exactly as you said, or make it more customizable that we can choose what we want to do, and don't give massive upgrades. I think one of the biggest things that really annoys me is that you get this particular evolution that you stick on your player, and that takes it from like an 88 or 87 rated to a 90 rated, but the actual in-game stats are barely even touched. That
Yeah.
really annoys me. Like it's not doing anything. I'd rather fix the in games and screw the overall. Let the overall be exactly the same. That's what I want. I want to be able to actually make the card feel better, not just have a higher rating.
Yeah, and then they hamstring yourselves by doing that, don't you? Because you put up to 90 rated, and at the moment we're kind of getting Evils up to 89 and under. So then you've kind of done what you thought was right, and then all of a sudden you can't move them on. So I think you're right. I think even incremental ones. So right from the start, like you say, get a bronze, silver, even a low rare, low gold card. Add slowly, so it almost upticks with the cycle and the if the promos kind of got suddenly brought in 2 play styles like we had a few months ago. Cool. I can now put that with two play styles. Right. The average promo centre back has 83 rated pace. Cool. So I can now add 83 rated to my 76 rated, or big slab of Derry Maguire can at least have better pace, rather than just having one-off evos that give everyone a complete jump and then suddenly can't do anything for another 4 months because technically he's ahead of the cycle for what EA wants. So
Yeah. Or the only way that they can circumvent this whole thing that they have right now is, for example, we've started off with the copy. For example, we start off with the gold copy. You and me have upgraded him. He's an 84 rated copy. That's basically good. And then another copy comes through that can make it even better. The copy that we've done can be upgraded to that exact same copy as a new evolution, but by playing half the games or even 10% of the games or 20% of the games, something along those lines. It just recognizes that, oh, hang on, this Evo that you're trying to do is a card that you've already upgraded that can fit in the new Evo. So you don't have to play the full suite of games because you've already done the hard work of upgrading him before. So you still get that, and that connection still exists, and that you can still upgrade your existing card. I think this whole concept went stale for me as soon as you told me you got to quick sell this card and then go back and do it. I did it, and that's when everything just unraveled itself. And I was like, oh, this is just weird. I'm just quick selling and buying another card off the market. And it's just weird.
yeah, absolutely. And you can do it with loan players where you can merge your loans. So why can't you
Yeah,
merge cards together?
correct.
Again, there's coding, and I appreciate there's lots behind it. So don't get me wrong, like it's probably not the best way to do it. But I just think that there's ways that could make it a little bit more unique and a little bit more fun. And then even if the stats are similar, teams are going to be a bit more diverse because you're going to have your favorite players, or your favorite clubs, or whatever. I think it would make it a little bit more interesting to see how it goes. But we say this a lot about Evos, don't we? Like, there's so many ways that us sitting here think that we can improve it. But it'd be interesting to see if there's any feedback from them, if there's any way they listen to people like ourselves, that we're not calling out for wholesale changes and saying we know everything, but it'd be really cool to see if they listen to what the community want. And again, feedback to us, is this type of Evo, is this what people want to have? Is that what they want to see? Or do people think, no, actually that's just going to be daft because you'll end up with all cards that are 91 rated with the exact same stats, and it'll just, everyone's game will feel the same. So like I say, I'm quite interested to see how people kind of take this on. But again, I know that we're a very small sample size till we hear back from everybody.
True. Very true.
Going on from that, Shaq, I'm just trying to look through at the moment because I haven't really used anyone different, but we are looking for our
player in review.
Thank you, Wimby. Shaq, do you have, well, to be fair, because I know that teams haven't changed so much lately, do you have a new player in review, or is there somebody that you've used a little bit more that you want to kind of delve into?
Oh, I think I have a new player to review, and this is this is a review that someone like Mystic Smeg or Buggered from olden times would really love. It's Matthias Tell. I packed this guy a couple of times, weirdly enough, and put him in the squad because I liked. I don't know if you remember, there was an objective card that came out a couple of months ago. He played for Bayern then, right midfielder. He was when PowerShot Plus was a big thing. He was insane in game back then, and so I was kind of looking forward to trying this card. So I packed him, exactly what I was looking for. Put him in my squad, and he's just so much fun. He's got like really good play styles. He's got, again, the first touch plus, and he's got finesse plus. Left midfielder, doesn't have the inside forward plus plus, but he does have a plus on the inside forward, which is good enough for me. He's got 4-star, 4-star. If he gets to a 5-star, 5-star with a little bit better passing, this is going to be a dream card. He's just, for me, he's just missing the 5-star skills, or even a trickster. Put any of those things on, and I think this guy will be a match made in heaven for me. He's so much fun. I like that he's made me appreciate first touch playstyle plus, because as soon as you give him the ball, it just sticks to him. He just glides along with the ball, and that's something that I think is really underappreciated.
Yeah, no, that's a very good one. I've seen you raving about him. So that United went for him. We pulled out of him because they wanted a ridiculous signing fee. So I'm still going to stay away. Can't buy anyway. But my one is one. I'm not sure if either of us have done an actual player in review on him, but he's still, I believe, obtainable. The the Cam version of Diego Maradona. So my reason for bringing him up is because we've both kind of sat on the fence a little bit. We thought he'd be good. We weren't sure. Having used him now for 80, what have I used him for? I think it's about 87 games I've used him now. He has been played 83 games, 47 goals, 61 assists. Plays as a cam, as a shadow striker. And I have to say, I've changed my tone on him. I am a big fan. So his stats aren't really standout-ish, but his two-play style pluses are what absolutely makes it. Finesse plus, as a shadow striker, gets into really nice positions. Although he's only 4-star weak foot, his weak foot's actually not bad. Get him on that left peg, it's sweet as anything. But that incisive pass, for some reason now, I am loving incisive pass. I've got Bambito as my left back, who has it, which is really good at feeding even through the lines to the winger or even to the cam. But the amount of opportunities he creates just from like a wee through ball, without being a ratty through ball, just a nice little one around the side, unreal. If you guys are, if you're still an option for people and they're wondering, should I not? Stat wise, he's not as good as Zidane, but his feel in game as a cam, as a creative, like want to take on a bit of the goal scoring and the assist and burden. I think this is actually a very, very top tier card. And, fair play to EA making him accessible for everybody. And obviously they've put that higher price, is it 500k for the Evo or, I don't know, 1,000 points or whatever. So not everyone's going to do them. And I get that. And I know there's other chains for it. But that precise Evo on the cam, for me, is absolutely top draw. So I apologize, Diego Armando Maradona, for any slander I gave you in the past. You have very comfortably got me into Div 1. And yeah, I'm very happy to say that I was very wrong when I said I wasn't sure about him.
That's incredibly good. That's very heartening to know that I can go back to my Maradona at any point in time. In fact, I was setting up my team to go back to Maradona, but then I just evoed Neymar, and I just thought, let me just try him, and he was exactly what I wanted. So I've stuck to him, but I will go back to Maradona at some point to try him out again, just to try.
I will put a warning out that he's one of these players that you do kind of need to use for a few games to learn how he moves and what he does well. Because to begin with, I think I was trying to dribble a little bit too more because in my head he could just dribble past anyone. But his dribbling's very good, but he's not somebody that you're going to run 60 yards with and take on 42 players and then turn back and beat them again. So once you get used to him, very, very good.
I think I suffer fools with people that have 5-star skill moves that I expect them to do a lot more things like a Neymar would. I'm not expecting Neymar to do. Neymar doesn't do magical things, but he just glides along with the ball that I'm probably just programmed. I have muscle memory to know what he does and how he can do, and I keep trying the same things with other 5-star skillers and never comes out the same way. So maybe that's why I've underplayed him a little bit, but I'll go back to him at some point.
Absolutely. No, that's great. Shaq, again, another one, because mine certainly hasn't changed in weeks. I think you've been toying around, but we are going to
Formation Focus.
Right. So with my formation, I must give you some credit for this because you're the one that first tweaked Foot Coaching John's 4-2-3-1 second variant, so the RMLM version. You tweaked it a little bit and gave it to me, and I played along with it. It was good, but then it just didn't suit exactly what I was doing. And I tweaked it a little bit, and I just thought to myself, because I was very hell-bent on having one CDM that is literally holding, and the other CDM is like, this deep lying playmaker that's doing all this magical passing, and he'll be the fulcrum of the team who will do all the magic. That's what I had in my head. And I just went back to basics. I thought, you know what? I'm using three attacking players that are really good. And I've got Mbappe up top. Let them do the attacking. Let's just solidify the midfield. And let's just chug in two CDMs that can just be like holding, but something along those lines where I think my second CDM is doing deep line playmaker, but on defend. And I just chucked that in. So I put Evo to Shuameni. I had a special version of Shuameni that I Evoed, who's got Bruiser Plus and Intercept Plus now. Him and Kante in the midfield just to mop up everything. And I've got these 4 attacking players are just free that can do whatever they want. And it is just clicking. I'm absolutely loving the game because I'm just soaking up the pressure with all my 6 kind of defenders. And I've got Theo on the left. I've got Cafu on the right. So they're just literally shutting up shop as much as they can. And once they release, and it's not pace. I'm not using pace. I'm not using pace to get through. I'm just bamboozling the opposition's defenders with just a little bit of trickery, a little bit of movement, and then either a Tel finish from the left, or a Bale finish from the right, or Mbappe from the middle, or Neymar from the middle. It's just been fun. It's been really good fun.
Absolutely. I mean, I am a big advocate. Again, I never used that formation until this iteration. I was always the three cam one, but I've kind
Same.
of done much like yourself. I have, I've still got one on holding and one on deep line playmaker, but instead I did have Xabi Alonso, who was very good, but there was just something a little bit lacking out of possession for him. So I've got Kante and Saicedo. So Saicedo's my deep line playmaker because his passing, although he doesn't have plus traits on his passing is still in the 90s, and he's very effective. But the way they cover the ground is just tremendous. So I've kind of gone that route. I think I still have him on support. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's much the same idea that when I'm out of possession, I've got these two little like
Yeah.
buzzy bees just buzzing around and mopping things up and sticking a foot in and making it a lot harder to get through. So I love that formation. Anybody listening, if they want John's foot coaching's tactic, join patreon.com/foot and review. Join our Discord, which is free for everybody, and just hit us up because the good thing we always say it. How one person plays isn't how you're going to necessarily play. So much like you've done, Shaq, John's had his basis, although John's very, very patient. You watch John and you can tell that he's got that professional mind in him where he doesn't lose possession. He doesn't shoot really unless it's, a 90 percentile plus chance. I like to spam a little bit more shots to get either the rebounds or the finesses, which is fine. But it's all about tweaking it to how the game suits you. So I'm very proud of that formation. I'm not going to lie. I think that the little tweaks for average Joe, not that you're average, obviously, Shaq, but you know what I mean. For people that
No.
aren't that sort of professional, like pro level
Yeah.
minded, I think I always pride even any tactics I've released through our Discord and that I try and do it for the majority of the users, not somebody that only holds on the ball, because I don't really enjoy just playing pass, 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 pass. I like it to be a little, not quite just hold down and sprint, but I like it to be that kind of in between where you can hold position, you've got the options, but then you can also just go hell for leather too. So anybody interested, hit us up. Shaq, is there anything else that you would like to raise before we I was going to say set off into the sunset, but I think it's probably blow away into this wind and hurricane that you've got and everything else going.
Considering I have a cyclone coming, I have a confession to make, which I might as well make on the show. So off late, I've just changed my kit. It's about 5 days from now, and every time I use it, it brings me back the nostalgic vibes of using this kit for year on year before I met anyone in Foot and Review. But I still feel bad. So please absolve me from the issue, and just Grandpapa Mac, yourself.
Speak, my child. Speak, my child.
I'm just hoping for. I'm just hoping that you guys are okay with it. So the kit I'm using right now in game, which I'm loving, and it's just brought back a lot of fun memories. It's a Glaswegian kit. That's my concern, but it's not blue.
Oh, are you a hoop? Have you turned into the hoop?
I have no connection with the team, but I love the kit.
To be fair, I've changed mine too. But people in either Scotland or England are going to hate me because my home kit is England and my away kit is Scotland. So yeah, I do feel your pain. Obviously, I had to have a connection. Home kit's England, not particularly because I like it more, but when we come to football, I'm English because I think I've got a hell of a lot better chance of England winning something than Scotland winning something because, Scotland do pretty well, but they're also not near the same level as, competing. So that's why I still want a little bit of that connection. But I feel you, like, there is a little bit in your mind, isn't there, where you're like, oh, and then I see a Liverpool kit against, like, I have to stop playing against. That's why I now set my second kit, because Liverpool ones tilted me. Either I just want to batter them off the pitch or I just wouldn't want to lose them. So it just did bad things to me. And to be fair, we've got some wonderful Glaswegian team supporters in our Discord, but sometimes you play a certain team from Glasgow, and I'm not going to say which one, but for some reason they're no, I'm not even saying them. I'm just going to say there's a certain people that have one of the Glasgow club's crests and kits that for some reason they just tilt me. Like the way they play usually tilts me. I'd probably say 7 out of 10 times. I'm just like, I don't like this person with this badge. So again, I'll leave that to the imagination, but it tells me the way that they conduct themselves in the game.
Just saying mine is green and white. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm stopping there.
I will be sending your address out to Grandpapa Mac and to Adam in the Discord, and I'm sure they'll be hunting you down soon enough. Yep. Poor Adam, who is one of our probably top players that we've got in the Discord. He is now going to be getting a voodoo doll of Shaq Attack, and he's going to be stabbing it, I'm sure.
You know what my biggest concern for the past 5 days has been? What if I pack someone and then I just put it on the Discord without thinking, and then suddenly, so I'm just putting it out there. I'm really enjoying myself. I've got no affiliation. It just looks nice. I just like the way it looks. That's it. That's it. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, but then he's also changed his name to Boys with the BHOYS for the Celtic thing. So yeah, he's also got his flag and everything. His what are they, green and white flags and everything. And yeah, he's actually turned into a diehard Celtic fan. But with that being said, Shaq, before we get ourselves into a bit of bother with our Discord and any listeners, just a quick one. Stay safe, Shaq. We'll all be, thinking of you and hoping everything's all right. I'm sure, I'll be catching up with you on the WhatsApps, but make sure that you and the fam are all good. Anyone listening, I'm sure John is back on Friday. Not 100% sure who's in. I think Ingvi's made his return, so Ingvi will probably be in with a shout, and possibly one other co-host. So that'll be something to tune into. Before we do go, Shaq, have a wonderful week. And one thing left to do.
Drop it.
We are going to drop it.
Drop it.
FUT. In view.